Welcome to our clues. To learn how to play, tap the help button. To go back to the main menu, Miss Scarlet, Miss Scarlet, Colonel Mustard, Mrs. White. Here are the players for this game. You are Mrs. White.
The other players are Miss Scarlet, Colonel Mustard, Mr. Green.
Placing one person card, one weapon card and one room card in the secret envelope, and sealing it. Dealing remaining cards to each player. Here are the rooms you can start in. Kitchen, kitchen, ballroom, ballroom, ballroom.
Miss Scarlet has chosen to start in the hall. Colonel Mustard has chosen to start in the dining room. Mr. Green has chosen to start in the conservatory.
You can hear your cards at any time by swiping left or right with 2 fingers. Could not access Facebook. Please make sure the app is installed and logged in. To accuse the killer, select the people. Miss Scarlet. Rooms. Kitchen is selected. You did not pick a weapon. You did not accuse anyone. You are in the ballroom. Here are the rooms you can move to. Kitchen. Conservatory. To suggest a killer in the people. Miss Scarlet. Weapons. Candlestick is selected.
Miss Scarlet has been moved to the conservatory.
Miss Scarlet has proved your suggestion wrong by showing you the candlestick card.
Mrs. White's turn has ended. Miss Scarlet did not accuse anyone. Miss Scarlet has moved to the billiard room. Miss Scarlet suggested that the killer is Mr. Green in the billiard room with the knife. Mr. Green has been moved to the billiard room. Mr. Green has proved the suggestion wrong by showing the Mr. Green card. Miss Scarlet's turn has ended. Colonel Mustard did not accuse anyone. Colonel Mustard has moved to the lounge. Colonel Mustard suggested that the killer is Mrs. White in the lounge with the candlestick. Mrs. White has been moved to the lounge.
You do not have any cards that could disprove the suggestion.
No one had any card. Mr. Green did not accuse anyone. Mr. Green has moved to the library. Mr. Green suggested that the killer is Mrs. White in the library with the robe. Mrs. White has been moved to the library.
You have one card that can disprove the suggestion. It is the library. To accuse the killer, so you did not pick a weapon. Billiard room. Study. To suggest a killer in this knife. Lead pipe. Lead pipe is people. Miss Scarlet is.
Miss Scarlet has been moved to the study.
Miss Scarlet has proved your suggestion wrong by showing you the study card.
Mrs. White's turn has ended. Miss Scarlet did not accuse anyone. Miss Scarlet has moved to the hall. Miss Scarlet suggested that the killer is Mrs. White in the hall with the robe. Mrs. White has been moved to the hall. Colonel Mustard did not
knife.
Mr. Green did not accuse anyone. Mr. Green has moved to the study. Mr. Green suggested that the killer is Mrs. Peacock in the study with the robe.
You do not have any cards that could disprove the suggestion.
No one had any cards to disprove Mr. Green's suggestion, so Mr. Green can accuse someone. Mr. Green did not accuse anyone. Mr. Green's turn has ended.
To accuse the killer, knife. You did not pick a weapon. You did not. Ballroom. Ballroom. Billiard room. Lounge. Lounge. Ballroom. Lounge. To suggest a killer in the lounge. People. Colonel Mr. Green. Mrs. Peak. Professor Plum. Professor. Weapons. Knife. Lead pipe. Revolver. Revolver. Miss Scarlet has proved your suggestion wrong by showing you the revolver card.
Mrs. White's turn has ended. Mrs. White is in the lounge.
Swipe up for the next player's turn.
Miss Scarlet did not accuse anyone. Miss Scarlet has moved to the lounge. Miss Scarlet suggested that the killer is Colonel Mustard in the lounge with the wrench. Colonel Mustard has been moved to the lounge. Colonel Mustard has proved the suggestion wrong by showing the lounge card. Miss Scarlet's turn has ended. Colonel Mustard did not accuse anyone. Colonel Mustard has moved to the dining room. Mr. Green did not accuse anyone. Mr. Green has moved to the hall. Mr. Green suggested that the killer is Mrs. Peacock in the hall with the robe.
You do not have any cards that could disprove the suggestion. To accuse the killer, people, weapons, revolver, rope, wrench, rope, people, Professor Plum, Mrs. Peacock. Mrs. Peacock is rooms, kitchen, ballroom, billiard room, library, study, hall. Hall is selected. You have selected Mrs. Peacock with a rope in the hall. Opening the secret envelope to see